Hey guys, what's up? Son of Chelsea back here again, and today we're going to do a Q&A. I asked you guys on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook to send me in your questions. That's what you guys did, so we're going to answer them right now. First question is from Alpha. He asks, what position do you realistically see us at the end of the season? You know, mate, I don't know. I cannot answer that question at the moment. It is so difficult, you know, and that's the thing. It is literally so difficult. Right now, we look like relegation battlers. We look like a basic, average, mid-table Premier League team, and that is just disgraceful. But I do think if we can get our act together and get some sort of form, I think the best we can hope for is a 6th or 7th. But for Chelsea, that's just simply not good enough. I think top 4 is like unrealistic at the moment. For me, right now, we just have to win the next game. That's the only thing with Chelsea. I cannot look that long term, but that's the answer I'll give you. Rory asks, get top 4 or win the FA Cup? You know, as I've just said, I don't think we're going to get top 4. So I'll say win the FA Cup. We haven't won it in a few years. We need to get that crown back. Wembley is really Chelsea's second home. So we need to get there in May. Considering what happened last year, the shambles, the car crash of Bradford City. But I think we can win it this season. Once again, if we get our act together, I'd like to be at Wembley in May, lifting that trophy. And maybe it might salvage our season in some way. I think hopefully Chelsea can do it, because we've got to have some silverware at the end of the season or I'm going to be so depressed. Mia asks, why are you the best? I just am. Emma asks, do you think it would have made any difference to Chelsea's season if they had invested in new players? You know, I've spoke about this on the channel before. I think there definitely has been a case where not enough investment was made in the summer. We should have brought in more players, more top class players, but I do think as well these players are not being challenged enough. Some of the youth players have to be brought, and I'll reference you to another video. Footy Writer on 100% Chelsea did a video. I'll link it somewhere. Gotta go and see it. He was basically explaining this, and that's exactly how I feel. Along with investing in players, of course, I think we've got to also invest in youth. Invest in the right youth players. Invest in like players like Cheeky Rubes. You know, you get him in the first team. For me, he is absolutely ready. And also bring in some other youth players who are not out on loan to kind of challenge. I know he isn't from our youth system, but another young player, Kennedy, should be in his first team to kind of to give some emphasis and to give some challenge to some of these players who just feel too casual in their places at Chelsea. Max asks, who this is the guy who does my thumbnails. Also, you've seen him on 100% Chelsea. Did my cool new logo, so go and check him out. But he does ask me favorite part of the matchday experience. Now, I think there's a load of things with the matchday experience, as they like to call it. You know, I think for me it's kind of that long, like it's kind of the walk towards the ground. Like, I live quite close to Stamford Bridge, so that walk to the ground, that walk up the Fulham Road, I think it's still, for me as personally as a fan, from the first time I stepped, when you walk up those steps into the stand and Stamford Bridge opens up in front of you, I still think that's one of the best moments as a fan. Whenever I go to a new ground, that's a cool experience. I still think that's probably the coolest experience. You know, you take it for granted going so much. It probably is walking up those steps and the stadium opening up. I think that's probably one of my favourite parts. Advert asks, if you were Jose Mourinho, who would you buy and sell in January? Now, firstly, I was just thinking about this. You know, there have been some rumours that Jose is going to get rid of some players, ones that aren't performing. Firstly, I think the main priority is bringing in players. The position I think we have to bring in is striker. You know, I personally think if Loic Remy doesn't get given much time, I think he could be off in January. I think Falcao possibly could be off in January. I'd bring in some players, some new players. Either bring back Patrick Bamford, who's getting no game time at Crystal Palace, or bring in Charlie Austin. That's the striker I'll say right now. Bring in Charlie Austin, a player who scored a load of goals in probably the worst team in the Premier League last year in QPR. Scored loads of goals. Bring him in. He's a quality striker. I think he could add something as well. He's an English player, so I think if we could bring him in, a player like that who I actually think is available to get. Donkey Costa 2 asks, which is one of the funniest usernames I've ever seen, what's your height? Mate, I cannot tell you the exact height, but I do know I'm probably over 6 foot. I'm one of the tallest in my family. Definitely, I'm over 6 foot. People have told me that, like, on camera, of course, because I'm sitting down, that I'm kind of average height, and then when they see me in person, they're like, oh my god, you're really tall. And I was like, well, you know, that's just what I am. You know, I'm quite tall, so I guess I'm over 6 foot. I'm not ridiculously tall like Joe Nilzeka, you know, the YouTuber. He, like, I know for a fact, I never saw him in person, but I know he's pretty tall. I'm not that tall, but I think I'm decent. You know, I'd say I quite like my height. I'm not like ridiculously tall, but I'm 6 foot. At Chelsea Edits asks, do you think Kurt Zouma will become one of the best centre-backs in the world one day? You know, I think he probably will. You know, he's developing quite rapidly at Chelsea. I know we reference back to the poor start to the season and he hasn't been one of the best players, but I do think that he is someone that does impress me a lot, you know, and I keep on seeing him develop that height, that agility, the age. Also, coming into a team like Chelsea, if you just glance back to last season, some of the work he did at the end of last season was so impressive for his age, and I think he's going to continue to develop if he continues to play in the Chelsea first team. Maybe in the future, if Chelsea can sign a younger defender to partner him in defence, I think that he could be in business. Right now, he's usually being mixed around because of our poor form. He's playing with JT one day and then playing with Gaza the next. You know, I personally think he still belongs next to JT. I like that combination. I think it is good. And if we get back our form, I think that is a really good, solid base, because I think the pace of Zouma, I saw it a few times last season, really helps out with JT. So I do think Kurt Zouma can become one of the best centre-backs in the world one day. Lastly, from Charlie Holloway, you've seen him on some of the 100% Chelsea videos. He says, do you think Eden Hazard will win the Ballon d'Or one day? I probably, if you would have asked me this question in like May, even like August before the season started, I would have been like, yeah, he's definitely going to win it. Right now, doesn't look like it because he's just completely gone missing. I know Halloween was only 2 weeks ago, but for me, he's been wearing that ghost costume since August. You know, he has been wearing that ghost costume. At Stoke, we saw a little bit more of the older Eden Hazard, and hopefully after the international break he could come back and play like that again, because for me he's in that team against Norwich. For me, he performed well against Stoke, but you know, he is not to the level he should be. He hasn't actually scored a goal, which is ridiculous. You know, he's missed penalties, he hasn't performed well, but as I say, if he can recover his form, for me he's one of the best players to watch ever. He's amazing to watch on the ball, like he was last season. If he can get back to that form, start performing well along with the Chelsea team, I think he will get back to that level. But you know, you look at a player like Neymar at the moment, for me is more likely to win a Ballon d'Or than Eden Hazard is, which is a really disappointing thing to say. So that has been it, guys, my Q&A. Thank you guys for all of the questions you sent in. I'm sorry to those that I couldn't read out, but loads of good questions. It was difficult to choose which ones to talk about, but once again, thank you guys for all of your questions. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Son of Chelsea. Also, if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button. Chelsea videos, FIFA videos, Q&As. I did my first Premier League review on Monday. Go and check that out. So there's going to be content like that coming to the channel, more consistent content. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again. It looked like Jurgen Klopp had turned around what had happened at Liverpool. You know, he got that massive win at Chelsea, also the game in the Europa League. I think, though, Liverpool fans can't be angry at Jurgen Klopp, and I don't think a lot of them are, but I think